Good morning. It's me, Mary, and I'm going to be making some enchiladas this morning. I'm going to be making them for some people that have been working here for a long time, and since I've moved into this place, and she's been extremely kind to me, and I wanted to make something like a going away. So enchiladas, I know you've done some potlucks before, and I figure enchiladas are the best way to go. And I remember my father used to like my mom's enchiladas. She made them a little different, and I'll probably do another one, but right now I'm just going to do a real quick, easy one, so so you can just hopefully you can make them yourself. So what I have here, I have as you see, I have some regular corn tortillas, and I use this for my caterings all the time. And they're from the Mission, and I really like them. There's a lot of additives in them, but and they're not bad additives. And I don't know if the corn is GMO or not. To tell you the truth, I really don't know. So, but lately I have been using these organic corn tortillas, and or sometimes you could just make your own. So, and this is just a shredded cheese. This is a Mexican cheese, and this is Las Palmas is what my mother used for many years. Excuse me. And so, so I have some sauce there, and I usually make it by scratch, my own sauce. I could do that, but what I do is, like my mother, she used to use it, but she fixed it up. Let me get my coffee. Well, let me get some water. Excuse me. It's hot in parts of California, and I think there's dust in the air because they're doing some repairs around here. So anyways, I'm gonna spruce it up a little bit so that you can kind of revise it the way you want. I'll just give you a basic how to make it. And so I have a heated pot right here, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go ahead and pour. It's hot, so be careful when you pour it in. And then you want to be careful with the oil that's already in the pot over there. So just pour it in very slowly. So I'm going to go ahead and pour the rest of this in there. And that's going to be pretty thick. That one is kind of spicy, and excuse me. This one's a little spicy if you're sensitive to spicy, but for some it's not spicy. And but it's still, you know, you can, how you cut the spices and the spices of it, you just use like a tomato sauce. But I don't have any tomato sauce, so I'm going to use what's in my pantry, which is tomato paste. So I'll pour a little bit of in there in tomato paste, and that was like about 28-ounce can. So yeah, I used about 3/4 of that can, and then this is like a 4-ounce tomato paste, Italian tomato paste. It doesn't hurt to put a little bit of basil in there too, and so that's 1.5 ounces. So I probably use what? About 1/4 of that, and then so that's going to be boiling up, and you can kind of like I said earlier, you can go ahead and spruce it up a little bit, like spice it up, well, flavor it up, excuse me. And you can just pour a little bit of onion powder in there, so about a teaspoon of that, and some cumin. I don't know if cumin's in there, so cumin's very pungent, so you want to use like about 1/4 teaspoon of that to start, and then some granulated garlic. And like I said, you can make this all by scratch. I'm going to put a little bit more onion because I want to get that onion flavor. And yeah, you could use this, you could do all this by scratch. And like I said, this is really quickie, and if you want to do it at the last minute, which is what I'm doing, And just kind of mix that up. And then you want to go ahead and add, I would put about a teaspoon, a good heaping teaspoon of bouillon, which is what my mom used. And I try to stay away from the I think it's GMS, and because that's high in salt. And then you just kind of, and if you need to add some broth to it, you can. I'm going to go ahead and use the whole can. And that'll make it even more flavorful. The secret is trying to get your sauce really flavorful without having it too salty. Too much salt, it's just not good. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of taste that. Oh yeah, that's real spicy too. I'm going to add a little bit more tomato paste on that. And if you have tomato sauce, I think tomato sauce is much better. I think that's pretty cool. That little tube, that's pretty neat. And so you just want to stir that up. And then you want to just go ahead and excuse me. And you want to dip these in really, really quick. I'm going to put a towel in here like that so that it doesn't drizzle. I have a wet towel. That's a wet towel. It doesn't drizzle all over the place. And then, so I'm going to do kind of like a casserole enchilada. You can put a couple of them in there at a time. And how I figure this out, I figure it out if you're doing a catering job, figure out 1.5 per person. 1.5. So you want to calculate 1.5 enchiladas per person if you're going to do it with another entree and beans and rice. And or you could do if you have a meat, like you say you have a party that has like they want vegetarian, and this would be a good alternative. And you don't have to be so, I mean, you could do like onions and peppers and saute them and use them as fillers. It depends on what you want in a vegetarian, but for me, I suggested the cheese enchiladas, and then, but everybody wanted enchiladas, so I did like half enchiladas and half cheese, and then I did the cheese enchiladas, and then I did the meat tacos, or it's a pretty darn good filler. It's hard. Mexican food is hard. I mean, I found it easier to do traditional American than the Mexican food. Mexican food is extremely difficult. It's difficult. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. I think it's probably one of the hardest things besides Asian food, Asian cuisine, and depending on if they use fryers or not. Personally, I think I'd like to do sushi. But if you're going to do this with another, like fajitas would be another complimentary entree with this. And tacos or burritos, I think it'd be too filling to put burritos because because a lot of people want that flour tortillas on the side. So they can make their own burritos. If you do fajitas, and then they have an option to make their own burritos. Or you could do even a tostada. You want to keep it light. You don't want to keep it too filling. So But this is a good. And then if you're going to do a meat, you figure out 3.5 to 4 ounces per person if you're going to do 2 entrees. It's easy to figure out. So a lot of people make a killing on catering, but you know, and I did it for almost 20 years, and considering it, bringing it, you know, back, I don't know, in my life, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed, you know, making food and making people happy, but it is very, very, it's a very time-consuming, it's hard work. You have to make the food, you have to deliver it, and if your truck breaks down, you don't have a backup plan, you're in trouble. People are upset because they're hungry, they want that food. But most of my clients, most of them, I've had a few that were really not nice, and I never use them as my clients anymore, because that's a nice thing. You can refuse a service. And for example, an attorney, I had an attorney who ordered some food and I had to deduct, and I gave her such a good deal, but she just did not want to, she felt like it was unfair because of the service, which I did promise her some service. But usually most of my clients, if you develop a relationship with your clients, most of my clients were very kind and understanding. And actually my first catering job, I was late, I dropped the cake, it was a disaster. And the guy, he basically opened his arms and just kind of gave me a hug. So, and that made me feel good. Now, if you have some people who, I hate to say this, but most of my clients that were giving me a hard time, they gave me a really hard time, were women. I'm sorry, ladies, but we're women. But I had a lot of good, women clients, but what really hurt was the women. The women were hard, they were unfair, they were kind of vicious, and so I never catered for them after a while. So, but you have some guys that are kind of mean too. So I don't know, I guess it just depends. So who your clients are, and hopefully you can establish a really good relationship. And then it takes about 5 years to establish a good relationship with your clients. And once they trust you and you trust them, you have a bond for many years to come. And that's why I did my catering. I did my catering because I love that relationship that I had, and I was doing what I loved in the kitchen, and then I was able to make some people happy with my food. So, and I don't mind sharing my recipes, and I think it's okay to share recipes. So anyways, so after you have all your tortillas on a plate, you want to turn this off, and then I'm going to switch. I'm going to carefully, let me see if I can, I'm switching over here. Alrighty, I'm going to switch this carefully. Hopefully I don't spill. And then I'm going to wipe. You want to wipe, put this aside for right now. And you want to wipe as you clean, as you cook. Wipe so you don't have a big mess. I know in a restaurant it's a little bit difficult if you have plates, but if you're just cooking in the kitchen, and you're catering, then that's a different story. So it's totally different. Totally different. Okay, so because then your cost is higher and it's more expensive, and I love having a restaurant, but the last restaurant literally almost killed me, because it's so hard if you don't have the finances, and if you don't have the finances to invest. People say open up a cafe. That's always been my dream, but you have to have the finances, and then when the economy makes a change on you, you have to have a backup plan, and which is something I didn't have. So it was just me solo, which I enjoyed because it was like singing solo. You sing in the choir, but it's something when you sing solo. Anyways, but what I did, and I like using these tongs, and the reason why I like using these tongs, and I have used the other ones, versus the tongs that are your traditional tongs, is because if you find some really good tongs that are similar to this, because you see it doesn't have any teeth on them, and so it doesn't tear up your tortilla, so which is nice. It doesn't tear up your tortilla. So okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put my casserole dish here. And I'm not going to roll them up. And what I'm going to do is I have minced up half of an onion. And see, that's a medium, I would say close to a small onion compared to these onions nowadays that you can get. And this is pretty much, I would say a small. I try to get it as natural as possible. And the onions, organics, of course, is a lot better. And then what I have is some dried oregano. And I love the flavors when you combine the oregano with the onion. You just combine it like that. And make that. Okay. And then what you want to do is you want to start layering the tortillas. Just layer them. You don't have to be fancy. Put a little bit of cheese on that. Like that. Put a little bit of that onion. And then you layer it again. Okay. And then you want to put some more cheese on that. And then put a little bit more onions. And then what I'm going to do, and you can do this on a flat, I'm going to get some of this nice enchilada sauce. Okay. And then just kind of drizzle over it. And then you're going to get some more tortillas. And then in between also you want to put some Parmesan cheese. And then you're going to put some more cheese, because that's what's important, is the cheese. The onions. And let me find some Parmesan sauce. Some Parmesan. Peek in my refrigerator. There's the Parmesan. And grated Parmesan, the powdery kind, is the best, in my opinion. And that just takes it to a completely, it's like a gift. Okay. Okay. And get some. Okay. And pour some of that sauce over it. And then, oops, more tortillas in there. More cheese. Some more of the, and I'm going to pour. Actually, there's only 3 tortillas left. I'm going to take that back out. And then put the sauce. See, even a kid can do this. I tell you. So easy. And then add a little bit more sauce to that. Onions, pop, and then some of the Parmesan cheese. And there you have it. Want to make sure you clean up the edges, you know, just clean up the edges with a nice clean towel. And then you can put it in the crock pot and let it heat up for about at least an hour, put on high, and then allow them to help themselves, and I'm sure they'll enjoy your casserole for your potluck. So I hope you enjoyed this. So next time I'll roll them up and do all that fancy stuff that that a lot of people want to see. Right now I'm going to have a cup of coffee. I'm going to take this to the office and call it a day. I'll talk to you soon. Mwah.